And then, so for in Japan, it was then became, because Becca was saying, as they were ending the imperial examination system, a lot of people would go to other places to study. And of the 30,000 students going out from China, 2/3, so 20,000, would be in Japan. And in Japan, they would actually, him and Liang Qichao, the main guy in one of the main, Kang Liang, they were also in Japan, and they're all Cantonese. And they would actually partner together. They were supposed to partner together, but then they drifted because the Kang and Liang. So if there are two sides, the Kang and Liang, these are both they're all wanted by the government, and this is Sun. Kang and Liang, Cantonese people. So Cantonese. The province is actually very important after a while. Their message was, revolution is very dangerous. Revolution is very costly. What's more important is that Cixi is evil. Guangxu is great, because that's from the 1898 message. So what do? You need to donate to us so that we'll go back, we'll take away Cixi, and have Guangxu back on the throne. And if Guangxu is back in power, everything will be great. Okay? So, and they leverage on exactly the same resources as Sun. Sun leveraged his resources on immigrants, as an immigrant population in America. So did they. And Liang actually leveraged off of Sun's contacts in Honolulu, but then they drifted because Sun is the other side where they must. The only way for China to modernize is that the Manchurians were gone. Manchurians are not Chinese. Manchurians took over China, took over us Han people, and used our resources to give to the foreigners. So they're the worst. So we'll get rid of them. Okay, so his message. And so when he started most of his early revolutions, his brother, who owned a farm in Honolulu at the time, was selling cows to finance his revolution until actually his brother actually went bankrupt to a point. So it's not that easy to be a family member of the father of modern China. Sun Yat-sen then was like, okay, so I literally milked all of my brother's resources. Where to go? He then joined in 1903 a triad organization called Hongmen. Hongmen is actually the ancestor of the modern-day black society. So all the modern-day black society are factions of Hongmen. Hong is just it means
red?
No, not red. It's the same pronunciation, but Hong is the name of the year of the emperor of the Ming Dynasty, and Hongmen is supposed to be taking away the Manchurians and reinstating the Han Emperor from the Ming Dynasty, something like this. And so he joined the Triad Society in Honolulu, and then he got a lot of money from the. But you think about it, at that point in time, it wasn't really black society, criminal society, but they were more like, because it's not like American law would have protected them. So if you were an immigrant from China, probably most likely from Taishan. So if you go to most of the Chinatowns, they're mostly, or let's say in San Francisco or New York, they're mostly Taishan people. Taishan, what do? You have to join a society so that at least you'll be protected, right? So they have a lot of loyalty, like loyalty in the brotherhood. Like it's a fraternity, you can think of it that way. He joined, got a lot of financing, went back, did a few revolutions, still didn't work out. In 1905, exactly the same year as the year that the government was talking about having a constitution, one big thing happened. Sun met with Huang. Huang is from Hunan. Now, Hunan is a very important. It's a very important province because it's the province that Zhang Guofan is from. The official that eventually ended the Taiping Rebellion, and it's also no surprise that Mao is from Hunan, Liu Shaoqi is from Hunan, He Long is from Hunan, the founder of the PLA. So it's a very important province. Huang and Sun, through a Japanese samurai, met with each other and realized, you know what? We have all these kind of different revolutionary factions going on, mostly by provinces. We need to gather together. And so, for example, Sun, he is Hua Xinhai, which is Guangdong. Huang is so it's Xinzhonghui. Huaxinghui is the Hunan people, and then there's also Guangfuhui, which is the Zhejiang. Zhejiang is right next to Shanghai. So these are the three main provinces. And what's interesting is they all have different. They all wanted to have revolution, but in different methods. Sun talked a lot about like the democratic system, the republican system. Huang, that side's about the military. Again, because of Zheng Guofan and because Hunan is a very militant society. In Zhejiang, those guys were like, we don't really care what system it is. The main thing is that the Manchurians are out. Okay, so these three main societies then got grouped together into one big society called Tongmenghui. And that is the first major national-wide revolutionary society, Tongmenghui. Okay? And what's really interesting about Tongmenghui is it was actually founded in a home, in like a home of a civilian. And that gentleman is actually the leader of a Japanese guy, the leader of a secret society called Heilonghui. Heilong as in Heilongjiang. As in these Japanese individuals had their eyes on Manchuria. And if you look at a lot of documents now you can read in Japan, a lot of Sun Yat-sen's, and so it's really difficult for a lot of Chinese people who studied Sun Yat-sen as like the father of modern China. There was actually quid pro quo kind of documents that you can read where Sun Yat-sen would say, you know what, help me with the revolution and Manchuria is yours. Right? So it's kind of like selling pieces of land, to get support for revolution. So it's kind of like if you go to Taiwan, you can't read any of this. If you go to China, like mainland China, they need Sun Yat-sen to still be the father of modern day China, but then they realize, you don't want to make him to be that big, right? So you start to see these research pieces coming out, a little bit about the quid pro quo that Sun Yat-sen did. And so what's interesting then is the so-called 三民主義. 三民主義 is the three people principle. And that's very big in nationalist China and also in Taiwan. The three peoples, the first one is race, and then it's authority, and then it's prosperity. So it goes something like this. Kick away the Manchurians so that the Hans can come back. We create a republican state, and let's equally share the land. So this is it's in 16 characters in Chinese. These are the three principles that in Taiwan still espouses. Yeah. And so what's interesting about, and in some sense, thank heavens that Sun Yat-sen never actually came to rule China, because one of his land policy goes something like this. Everybody owns land. Yeah, we can't do anything about it. Obviously, Mao they just redistribute it, right? But then Sun wasn't into that. So we can't do anything about it. But what we could do is we fix the price of land today. We just fix it. And then if there's ever any transactions, it'll be 100% capital gains tax. So people cannot gain from the increase in value of land values. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked. It's just like, if you studied economics for like 5 minutes, you realize that won't work because you just create a huge black market from there. But that's one of his policies. And so history has it that he is more of a revolutionary than an administrator. Okay. And so there are other kinds of activities that what they would do is that they would spread the revolutionary message to the students. So a lot of these students, again, as you said, they're wealthy. Most of them did pretty good scores in the pre-1905 imperial system. So that's why they were sent, like Huang Xing was sent by the Qing government to study in Japan. So Kang and Liang had a newspaper. Sun and them had a newspaper, and the newspaper was mostly talking about revolution. Liang's paper was talking about no revolution, and so they were just fighting all the time, even though neither of them had power at the time. And then also what's interesting is that these guys who studied in Japan would then go back into new army to become army officers. So most of the Republican period, like the 1910s and 1920s, if you look at the warlords and stuff, most of them actually went to Japan, then went back to become Qing army officials.